hands, put your empty hands in mine. And scars, show me all the scars you hide. And hey, if your wings are broken, please take mine so yours can open too. 'Cause I'm gonna stand by you. Oh, tears make a lot of scopes in your eyes. It hurt, I know you're hurting, but so am I. And love, if your wings are broken, borrow mine so yours can open too. 'Cause I'm gonna stand by you, even if we're breaking down. We can find a way to break through, even if we can't find heaven. I'll walk through hell with you. Love, you're not alone. 'Cause I'm gonna stand by you, even if we can't find heaven.
On Saturday, May 30th, Brooklyn, get ready for a night you will not forget. As Dr. Ghost, The Empire Dawn presents reggae legend Dwayne Stevenson live in concert.
Word from the wise, don't try to make life on your own.
Dwayne Stevenson.
From a little partition you dream.
Sean B from St. Lucia.
Something gripping, please don't let me go.
Alongside TD Bang. Doors open at 7 p.m. Showtime 10 p.m. sharp. And it's going down inside the St. Lucian House, 438 East 49th Street, between Church and Snyder. With music by DJ Bashi, Selector Akal, DJ Sci-Fi, DJ GQ, and Earthquake Sounds. Hosted by Jessica Movements. Brooklyn is gonna be one memorable night. Performing live, Dwayne Stevenson. Tickets cost $70 in advance, $100 at the door. Ticket info, contact Moses on 347-701-6046. That's 347-701-6046. Sponsored by 106.3 FM, New York City. Lock in the date, Saturday, May 30th. Reggae legend Dwayne Stevenson live.
When you're too bad. With all the wonders in the world, St. Lucia's only meant for me. So much history to be told and so much more for eyes to see. The colors feel the love, I can tell you all the way. Proud of it, proud of it, proud of it, proud of it. It don't matter where I voyage, it don't matter where I roam. Majestic because
Get pain relief fast with Frances Rub. When the days get tough, rub it. Having back pains, rub it. The dog not well, rub it. COVID on you, rub it. If you have 4AD, rub it. For proper circulation, rub it. Stroke have you on a side, rub it. For all problems in life, rub it with Frances Rub. Or call 713-4162 or 489-3421. Nothing beats a good old Frances Rub. Located in the Vendors Arcade, booth 27B.
And now in VA4 on Girodi Street next to the post office.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, Hush Talkers. We are on for another episode of Hush Talk. And tonight it's a little bit more serious, so I'm a little bit more mellow. This is Hush Talk, the space where the silence ends, the truth begins, and healing. I'm your host, Yolanda, and tonight with my co-host, Vilna and Tamara, we'll be talking about something that affects millions of people around the world. Something that often hides behind beautiful family photos, behind church smiles, behind social media posts, and, you know, behind things. Most of the time you speak to people, they tell you, I'm fine. And behind that, I'm fine, there is something ugly hiding. So yes, tonight, our topic is behind closed doors, breaking the silence on domestic violence. Yes, we are talking about domestic violence. And we're not talking about it to sensationalize it or to shame anybody or not even to point fingers. We just need to bring that secrecy to light, because for too long, men, women, children, people, we have been living in domestic violence. And the thing is that it's starting to become normal. And a lot of us are walking around hurting and nobody sees because we were hiding. Sometimes on the clothes, on the smiles, on the emotions, on the bright dispositions. But what we're really feeling, nobody knows. So tonight we are going to look, we're going to understand it, we are going to name it. And most importantly, we are going to learn how to break the silence. So before we begin, I kind of want to say that if this conversation feels really personal for you, because you've actually experienced violence, I want you to take a minute and just breathe. I want you to stay with us. I want you to take what you need out of this conversation and just know no matter what you're feeling, you are welcome here and this is a judgment-free zone. But I do have one thing to ask you. Can we agree tonight that as we're having this conversation, you are going to approach it with openness, with honesty, with compassion, and yes, with courage? If you agree, I know our audience has not grown so much tonight. We're at 91, normally we're in the hundreds, but we're at 91 so far. But if you agree to those norms that we are going to be honest, we're going to be compassionate, we're going to be courageous, we're going to be non-judgmental, I just want you to put a little yes in the chat tonight. Just put yes, so we know we're in agreement. Even me too. I am going to put yes in the chat just to, and here goes my eyes, I'm sorry. I'm going to put yes in the chat just to show you guys that even me too, that I am willing and ready to approach. I see we have a few people here tonight. Before we dive in, let me just say welcome and hello to all the people who are already on. Electra St. Catherine, you're going to get a prize one day because most times you're always the first person to come on. Welcome, Electra. Welcome, Electra. Welcome to my sisters. Welcome, Shana Bryce, Shana Salam, Leona Bryce. Welcome. I see we have some. Let me read some of the good evening. Hello. Leona is saying she's still at work, but she's here. Welcome, Cheryl. Hi, everyone. My sister Yolanda and my adopted sister. I see Peter is in the house with us. Watch Radio is also in the house with us. Okay, good. And I see, hi, baby's in the house. Welcome, Peter in the house with us tonight. Welcome. No, in the house. We have a lot of people in us already, and we have people engaging. Guys, tonight we really want to engage you. You know certain things that we don't know. All we can bring is our experience and our perspectives, and coupled with yours, we can have a really productive show tonight. So I am going to pass it on to my co-host Vilna. She's going to take us and she's going to give us an idea, share with us and break it down for us what domestic violence really is. As we prepare to welcome Vilna, I want those who are already home to. I'm getting an echo. I'm sorry. I want those of you who are already on to just write in the chat. What is the first image that comes to your mind when you think of domestic violence? Just kind of like prepare us for what is the first image that comes to your mind when you think of domestic violence? I want you to put this in relationship with us. What domestic violence really is and what it looks like.
Okay, good night, everybody. What really is domestic violence? Let's break it down. Domestic violence is a pattern of behavior used to gain power and control over another person in an intimate relationship, marriage, dating relationships, or within your household. So now we're asking, like Yolanda said, put let's tell us, what do you think domestic violence is? Who you think is involved? Where does it happen? What makes it happen? What causes domestic violence? How do we see domestic violence? What are your thoughts on domestic violence? How do you feel about domestic violence? So start putting your comments in the chat on domestic violence. If you think you have another definition of domestic violence different to what I just read, go ahead, put that in the chat and let's see. Let's hear what you have to say. Let's start that conversation. Let's dive into domestic violence. Let's hash it out.
So, Vils, I see Veep said a battered woman. Leona said, oh, they're saying I'm in and out. Can you guys hear me better now, audience? I know my computer was acting up earlier. Remember I told you?
Yes.
So I'm not sure. So maybe my host and co-host can hear you, but my audience is not really hearing me. Can you guys hear me better now? I don't know. But somebody said, V said a battered woman. They're hearing me better now. Thank you. So V said a battered woman, and Electra says trauma. So what do you think about that, Vils? That was the first response, a battered woman.
Okay, a battered woman. A battered woman can be so many things, because how do we know she's battered? Is it only by the bruises on her face, or all of a sudden she's wearing 2 extra layers of makeup, or the sunglasses she never used to wear? Or that person might be perfectly fine, no scratches, no bruises, but then you notice that that person now is no longer, that smile is not there, that happiness. They're always by themselves. They're always running off to the bathroom. Or like some of us normally say, our sinus. Your sinus bothering you and then the tears coming down. All of these are signs. And then sometimes we just overlook it. But sometimes, are we really dealing with a battered woman? Are we shying away and we do not want to assist because we're not sure what to say? Or we think, me, that's a man, I'm not getting involved. It's personal. And that's what a lot of us do. So how do we spot a battered woman? And when we spot a battered woman, what do we do about it? Do we move forward to help? Because we can help and and you can stay from a distance and still help. You don't have to be all up in the business to help. So we ask, what do you do when you see a battered woman? How do you assist that battered woman?
So hold on, Vils. I kind of like where you're going with the topic and with the question, because I really want some answers tonight. But when I started thinking of that topic, I knew almost immediately, because I used to do the same thing, that once the term domestic violence gets thrown out there, that the first thing we'll think of is battered women, like women in relationship, abusive relationship, and man abusing woman. And I just knew that was going to happen. So I do agree that battered women are one of the most common forms of violence. But I really like what Electra spoke about, the trauma part, because there is so much more to domestic violence than a battered woman. So if we could probably have some insight into who exactly are the persons experiencing domestic violence, what situations those domestic violence can be seen in, like for example, as you said, relationships a while ago, but what other relationships out there exist where domestic violence occur? Do you think you can shed some more light on that? You can jump in at any time.
We actually have domestic violence not just between partners. You have them between siblings. You have them between friends. Most times we talk about domestic violence, people just think it's a personal relationship, a spouse, a husband, a boyfriend, a girlfriend. But we have friends who beat up on each other and people just play it off because they're friends. But we have domestic violence within the household, siblings. And it is a form of domestic violence because domestic violence is not just physical. We have different forms of domestic violence, and you have the verbal abuse, you have the emotional abuse, you have all of that coming down. So when do we say no, it's not domestic violence and it's something else? And when do we say no, this is domestic violence and it needs to stop?
What do you think, T?
Yes, I mean she's correct, as you guys said, and I'll probably talk about this in a bit. As you said, what is the image of domestic violence? And everybody's like, the physical abuse, and thinking of a man on a woman, and it can happen any intimate relationship, a friendship, sisters, family and uncle, any relationship. And so it's important to understand what domestic violence is, and identify the different types of domestic violence, and then you can see who are the victims and who are the perpetrators of that.
I am actually surprised that near the audience, and we've not mentioned it here, that a lot of domestic violence happen between parents and their children. And I don't want to go too deep into that topic because this is a topic I want to hash out on its own. When you talk about parenting and how parents raise their children, we all know that when we were growing up, a good old beating was always necessary, and our parents used to beat us. I agree that some of the beatings we got were like strictly abuse. They didn't know any better. That was strictly abuse. They used to beat us with anything. But they have relationships now between parents and children in this modern day. When parents do abuse their children, they don't know how to talk to them, or they don't know how to discipline them. And they may, act in certain ways where they will be putting their child's life at risk in, very, very grave manner. So I agree with all of what you guys said. The friends, the siblings, the husband and wife, the relationships. You have, as long as that domestic abuse is happening in the home, and not just happening in the home, but it's happening for a certain reason. Vilna, in your definition, I heard for power, for what were the three things in your definition? You said the definition earlier. Can you just repeat that? I think for power, control.
The definition: domestic violence is a pattern of behavior used to gain power and control over another person in an intimate relationship, marriage, dating relationship, or within a household.
Very good. And even as you're talking about that definition, I can hear fear. I can hear fear because anybody who's going to use their power to control you and to intimidate you is that they're trying to instill fear in you. So when you have people in a relationships within a household, we're not talking about relationships that are outside of the home, because that's hence the term domestic. But once they're in that household and they're inflicting those kinds of intimidation or those kinds of actions on you to make you feel afraid, so they could have power and control, that is domestic violence. What do we have in our audience today? I kind of want to hear what the audience is saying before we kind of move on.
Just now, Vienna said domestic violence always includes power. She says it includes control. Leona says, I don't agree with that. I'm not sure what she does not agree with. Vienna says, you all run with battered women. That's not what I'm implying. You guys talk faster than we type. Leona said authority. Jerry says, Bay said, does emasculating a man fall under domestic violence?
So wow. These are good thoughts, and Bill, I thought nothing you read. It's really crazy that I'm seeing one set of comments and nothing you read. I saw that, but I did see. Kind of spoke about abuse. She said abuse, mental, physical, verbal. So she's talking about different kinds of abuse. So I like that they're asking those questions because I think we're going to address that at some point. So Vienna is saying that it's not only battered women. Leona would love to hear what you disagree with, and Shana is absolutely right. Those abuse come in so many different forms. Jerry Peter, we're definitely going to address the idea of men being emasculated by women, because a lot of times, let's face it, when we talk about domestic violence, the first impulse is just think about a man putting his another woman, and they have a lot of women out there who abuse men, just as there are women who abuse their children, and you have men who abuse their children and their wives, and so on and so on. So this is something that different people can be guilty of, and they're doing it for different reasons. So before we take our first break, I just want to say that domestic violence can occur in any household. It's not just the poor people houses. It can be in the big houses. It can be in the apartments. It can be in the church. Somebody who is a leader of the church is preaching everything, and when he comes home, he abuses his family. It can be a woman who is in the position of power, and when she comes home, she abuses the platform because she's stressed out or whatever. So it can live in any place, and it can come from any person. The way a person looks doesn't determine whether or not they can be an abuser. Okay? So when we come back, we are going to look at the types of domestic violence that exist out there and how you can identify it. So, Shana, we're going to come back right up your alley when we return with our talk on domestic violence. Stay tuned.
Yes, I was mindful of what you taught me. Blessed love, this is Dwayne Stevens from Augustown, New York Massive, St. Lucia Massive. I will be coming to you. So I say, St. Lucia House is the place between Church and Snyder. The 30th of May, remember, Dwayne Stevenson concert, live, and it is brought to you by Dr. Ghost and the Empire Done. So I say, so lucky in Ropin. I'm Mr. Ropin, because this is a session I go vital. And watch out. Cool runnings. Yeah, rocking, so me I say, the 30th of May. Remember that.
Join Watch Radio NYC and St. Lucia National Day Committee Incorporated in proud partnership with St. Lucia Arthritis and Lupus Association for the Lupus Awareness Drive, turning compassion into action. Together, we're supporting brave individuals battling lupus. You can help by donating personal care or medical items, giving financial contribution, or simply spreading awareness. Let's make life brighter for those living with lupus. For more information, call or WhatsApp 347-392-8282 or 347-701-6572. Email watchradioNYC@gmail.com or slndc2019@gmail.com. Let's stand strong with our lupus warriors.
Get pain relief fast with Frances Rub. When the days get tough, rub it. Having back pains, rub it. The dog not well, rub it. COVID on you, rub it. If you have FOID, rub it. For proper circulation, rub it. Stroke have you on a side, rub it. For all problems in life, rub it with Frances Rub. Or call 713-4162 or 489-3421. Nothing beats a good old Frances Rub. Located in the Vendors Arcade, booth 27B.
And now in VA4 on Girodi Street next to the post office.
Yeah. Welcome back, Hush Talkers. I was just laughing while the commercial was going on because I was looking for the comments and I was reading and I saw V Aquate writing just like she's talking. I could just hear saying, hey. She typed just like she wanted to come across. You're running battered woman. I didn't see the comment, but I just saw it now. Just want to kind of like answer a few questions in the chat before we move to delving deep into the types of violence. So I'm going to start with Jerry Peters only said, does emasculating a man fall under the domestic violence? It sure does fall under domestic violence. It's violence that happens in the house. Now, maybe emasculating a man might not happen in the house all the time. You may go out to a function and then among his friends or among your friends, you make that man look small, you disrespect him, you make him realize he has no power, he has no say, and his friends are looking at him like they like to say, like a little boy. You're emasculating him. You're taking down his power, his authority, his value. So when that man comes back to the house, that mood you've created between you guys, that level of disrespect, that level of disconnect, it's going to cause issues within that household. And then that domestic violence, he can retaliate, or you can do, if you have the more power than him, then you can do stuff to him. And that's definitely can escalate into some kind of domestic violence. So yeah, it definitely falls under domestic violence. And I think there was one other comment I saw. OV said gaslighting, manipulation. So we're going to come. Oh, Leona said, I don't agree with domestic violence being among friends. So Leona, you're right and you're wrong. And let me elaborate on that. Domestic violence, if it's just among friends that are out there that don't live in the same home with you, it's not domestic. But there are times when you share, say you room with other people, you share an apartment, or a lot of people who live in the United States and who live away from family, they live like that. You know, sometimes they come up to a place and they can't afford a place on their own and they're sharing an apartment. And you have friends who live with you, and we'll go deeper into that sometime later into the talk. They will take advantage. So you're always the one who has to clean the bathroom. You're always the one, the fridge is empty and it's running on dry. And if you don't spend money to put stuff in that fridge, they're not putting it. So they look for all the reasons why you say, oh my goodness, things are so hard, I'm so broke. And you know, they look for all those excuses because they know you will pick up the slack eventually. That is the kind of abuse among friends. So friends can domestically abuse other friends if they're living together. And if one person, or sometimes it may not even just be like that, it could just be, you know, they say things to you to make you feel insecure, so that way they can feel better. That's a kind of emotional abuse. So the domestic violence can occur among friends. We just want to say good evening to Luca. Good evening to Nicholson Shari. You're in the house. Somebody said Leona considered, yes, Leona considered interpersonal abuse. Now, if they live in the same household, it works too. Very good, V. Good night, Sabina. Good night, Sabina. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So let's give Tamara the mic as she really goes deep into helping us to identify the different kinds of violence that exist out there.
Right. So we've been given the definition of domestic violence, and there are many different types, and we've started to speak of some of them. We started, of course, with what we know as the physical abuse, which is what everybody said. That includes hitting, slapping, you know, the punching, the kicking, choking, the strangling. You know, some people use weapons, or, you know, something simple like I want to go out and he says no, or she says no, you know, blocking an entrance. So this is the type of what we're accustomed to, the physical abuse. But we can move on to what we call emotional or psychological abuse. And that is a big one that a lot of people are not aware. You know, a lot of people are in these abusive relationships and they are not aware because they don't know they are being abused. So that's the constant insults, humiliation, constant criticism, you know, that you give someone. As I think someone said in the comments, the gaslighting, making someone doubt their reality, threats, intimidation. What about social isolation? You know, you can't speak to that friend, you can't go. So that type of emotional abuse, where it is targeted at abusing someone's mental and emotional well-being. So that is one that we need to look out for, one that is always under the radar. Another type of abuse that takes place is what we call sexual abuse. All right. And this is a serious one. And it's any non-consensual sexual activity. When I say no and you say yes. So
what if I'm married to you? What if I'm married and I tell my husband,
once I say no,
and he said, I didn't marry you for me to have a wife that's in the mood. So lie down your butt there and let me. Is that abuse?
As long as you are not consented to it, it is forced. And then you can have rape. This is rape. Yeah. So forcing sexual acts or pressuring or manipulating someone into sex. You know, I know you're going to do this, or I will tell your friends about that, or I will tell your colleagues about something. So I'm manipulating you, or refusing to practice something like safe sex. I don't want to get pregnant, or I don't want to, you're not using a condom, and I say so. Okay, so that is what we call the sexual abuse.
Can I say something, T, as you're talking there? What if a partner is withholding sex as punishment, say, oh, you know what? You didn't do that for me. No sex for a few weeks. So they're not having sex with you, but they're saying no shop closed. Is
right. So you're holding it. Right. So you apart from the sexual abuse, the emotional, because I want it, and then you withholding it, so you controlling me, right? So I think it works both ways. We have what we call financial or economic abuse. Financial abuse. And that is controlling someone's access to money or resources. Okay. So for example, you may have some relationships where one partner may prevent a partner from working. Just because I want you to depend on me, I am controlling the finances. If I give you or I allow you to work and earn your own money, then you become independent. You don't need me. So I'm going to control that. Okay. There are some who would allow you to work, but they take control. Bring your salary to me. Bring the paycheck to me. Bring the check to me. Right? And some of them are really forcing you to depend on them. So whether it's for I need to buy, I need to get shopping, I need to get anything, you need to depend on them. And this is where the power and authority of the abuser comes in. With the age of technology now, we have a lot of what we call...
Could you pause a little bit? I saw we post something in the chat. I'm going to read it out to you so that you can address it, because it falls right under what you were talking about. This says, not everyone knows it's abuse. Some know and they are embarrassed to talk about it, but others may not know other forms of abuse except physical. So
correct.
Yeah,
and that's what we're saying, especially the emotional one or the financial abuse. Some people just believe, oh, my husband or my wife just wants to be the one to handle the bills, etc. But no, sometimes if you look deeper, they're controlling. They want you to depend on them, right? So that's why we are speaking about these others, so that we can, you can educate yourself, look out for these signs. I was just about saying in this modern era with technology, we also have something what we call digital or technological abuse. All right. And that is the using of any technology to control or monitor someone. So when you see you tracking location or spying on devices, that is a type of abuse. And some people think it's okay, I have to know my husband's location. I mean, sometimes
wait.
Yes. Yes.
So if you take your phone and you probably suspect your husband or your wife might be cheating on you, and then you put a little tracking device so you always know where it is, that's abuse?
I mean, there's a limit, because you can just say, okay, I'm doing it in investigation. I investigate. But some people deliberately do it. They need to have a tracking device. They need to have the location on, because where are you? I need to know where you are at all times, because they're insecure for whatever reason. And I'm saying, no, I do not need you to track my phone, but I don't have a choice. I need to know where you are at all times. Okay. There's also what you call harassment through text and social media. Sometimes you have persons would text you or meet you up on a Facebook chat, whatever, that kind of harassment, that is called digital abuse. And then demanding passwords. So you have some partners who say, hey, I need to know the password to your phone. I need to know it. And you will not know mine, but I will know yours. And then I will go into your phone. So the fact that you are using that technology to monitor and control me, that is some kind of abuse. And it's different if you have a relationship and you're like, hey, I just want your location on as a female. You go out with your friends in case something happened. I know where to reach you. That's different. But some people use it to stalk and to control.
Okay. So I just want to reiterate that. And I hear you say that every relationship is different. Every relationship is unique. They have their limits, their boundaries, their circumstances, their conditions. So if you're in a relationship, and I'm not just talking about romantic relationship, where the only one is except parents and children. Parents, you have a little bit more control, and you determine what the child can and cannot do. But if you determine, hey, these are the conditions upon which our relationship is going to run. So let's put a device on each other's phone. So if something happens and I don't see you come home, I can always locate where you are. Let's do this so we can share this, we can share that. So you determine what conditions. But if it's something that both parties in the relationship agree to, then it's not abuse. However, if it's something the other person does not want, and it's an unpleasant feeling for that person, and you use power and intimidation to force that person into that action, then that's where the abuse comes from.
Right. So if it's a mutual understanding, a mutual agreement between the partners, hey, this is what we want to do, that's fine. Once one is forcing it onto another, that is where the abuse is. And especially when the person being abused cannot stop it. They feel like they cannot say to you, I do not want this. Or even if they say it, you don't stop. This is where the abuse is. So it's a very, we have to understand the difference between a mutual understanding and something forced upon you. There's one that we use a lot, especially with, as we say, parents or with siblings, whatever, the verbal abuse. And, we learned these things from small about the power of the tongue and how dangerous words are, how harmful words are. So verbal abuse is always often considered part of emotional abuse as well, because when you say something, it may not physically harm you, but emotionally, yelling, the name calling. And, we from St. Lucia, and especially y'all from Mico, everybody has a name. Everybody's called something, everybody. And there's a difference in, I'm calling you this name and it's funny and we laugh, but we need to have boundaries. We have to understand when it becomes uncomfortable for someone and when we use it to manipulate or control or belittle the person. Especially if you have, as you say, emasculation of a man, calling the man a papi show or kinomuye, sapa nom, these kind of things, or calling your woman, she not sexy, go sebu day. It's not always fun. It's not always something nice. So
it's never fun.
Never.
And especially in public, the public humiliation, threats or constantly blaming. There's some verbal abusive relationships where you are blamed for everything. It rains, they have to yell and say it's your fault, constantly blaming you for everything that you have no control over.
But another thing too is, as you said, verbal. I have seen relationships where people think it's okay. It's like they tell you that's how we are, and the insults you hear them give each other, but then right away you can tell it's the insecurity. Because there is no way you can be in a healthy relationship and your form of communication is to insult each other or to belittle each other in public. So sometimes they do it and they're not even aware, like Vienna said, they're not even aware it's abuse. They know something is wrong. You can tell on their face they're hiding something, but they're not even sure the depth or the damage that it's doing to them.
Yeah.
So you know what, Vils? I am thinking, one of the things I always ask is, my computer is threatening to die on me. One of the things I always ask is, why do people act like that? As we were growing up, a lot of times we saw that abusive behavior was okay. We grew up and we saw, well, I don't know for everybody, but I saw so many people around me where husbands or boyfriends were beating each other, to the point where if you're getting a beating by your significant other, the cops would be like, oh, that's man one thing, I'm not getting involved. We learned from somewhere it is okay for us to be battered, for us to be abused, for us to, and then there was this also this thing that people used to say, oh, they taught us from early, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words cannot harm me. And then growing up, we learned words are even more harmful than the sticks and stones. So I think somewhere in our upbringing, it was ingrained into us, and we grew up with the notion that those things are okay.
I think so.
Yes. So I think so. Brings us on to our last segment before we take a small break, about those people who are in the abusive relationship. Why is it hard for them to leave? Why is it hard? You're being abused, or something doesn't feel right, but you're there anyway because there is something that keeps you. Why is it hard?
Yeah.
Who wants to take that part?
I think, well, as Bill said, there's, you have many reasons. Okay, she said, for example, insecurity. You have financial stability. There's so many.
Can you break it down a little bit? Break it down a little bit.
Okay, so let's look at financial stability. You may have a single mother, or a young woman who is struggling to make ends meet. Financially, she can't. She's barely making ends meet. She gets a man who can afford, who is willing to take care of her. He's an abuser. He's aware of the power, the authority, what he has, that she needs him, the dependency. And so he starts taking advantage, right? She's aware. But then she's caught. Like, if I leave him, what do? I need to feed my children. I need to pay rent. So I will take the 2 lashes, but I will get money. I know young women that will say, listen, he will mash up my face on his dashboard, but I know when he finished, my pocket full. So they will take the lick.
You know, I just trying to put something in the chat, and I just want to read out some of it. Shanna says, there are some people who love the makeup after the abuse.
Oh, yes.
I know personally, say, oh, my boyfriend don't beat me, but I like when he because afterwards the makeup does be the makeup
it's a cycle. It's a cycle.
Or if they have really strong chemistry with each other, they'll be like, no, we fight and he beat me, but I love him so much. They mistake those kinds of things because they think it's okay.
It's a vicious cycle. The vicious cycle.
It's a cycle because once they finish, they're like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I will not do it again. I promise I will not. Or they will use their psychology. It was your fault. You know, you
manipulation.
You made me
they
do
manipulate you into thinking. They manipulate you into thinking it's because I love you. I'm trying to straighten you up.
Straighten you, right?
Another reason why a lot of times people stay, comfort. Comfort can literally cripple you, you know. Because when you think about it, for me to start over, I'm already 56. I get to leave the man. I have to go get a house. No, I'm staying there and I taking it and I put in my makeup instead. And nobody knows.
Some is humiliation and pride, you know, because
humiliation and pride.
So I see,
yes.
I see Shanna has fear of being alone and Ruby has the Stockholm syndrome. What is the Stockholm syndrome?
Some people I know people that are afraid of being alone for sure.
Yes, so they'll be like, you know what? Well, if I leave him, what am I going to do? Stay by myself? I will just stay there because I prefer to stay.
Yeah, that's right. But what is the Stockholm syndrome?
I would love to know what the Stockholm syndrome is. Anybody can elaborate on what the Stockholm syndrome is? In the meantime, I'm just scrolling through. Shanna says there are some people who, I read that already. That was taught from our ancestors, the ancestors' relationship. Good night, Merlin. Good night, Selena. Good night, Bella Luca. All those who have made it in the house that have not said good night to. Good night. So I love that, T. You give us so many reasons to think about why people stay. Fear of being alone. The great makeup sex afterwards. The financial, the comfort, as Vilna say. Oh, I'm not going to. And again, they were. Deals to put it in other words, they were afraid of the unknown.
Right.
So if I leave now,
the unknown,
having to do all this, so let me just stay in the discomfort. I know. Go look for the discomfort. I don't know anything about.
So this is what I think you were asking about the Stockholm syndrome, and that's basically what it is, where you are being abused, but you start developing like positive feelings or sympathy or loyalty towards the person abusing you. You know, like it may be my fault, or if I do better, or he's really trying to teach me better, you know, he's trying to correct me, he loves me, you know, that sort of thing. So that's what it is.
You know, I want to just say one more thing. We spoke a lot about all of the reasons people don't leave, and we spoke about it in terms of people who have the freedom of choice. I'm staying because of X, Y, Z. But there is another reason, and I'm sure there are endless more, but there's another one where a very common one why people don't leave. Because they're threatened. And they know if I dare to walk out of that relationship, this person will kill me. So some people stay because for survival. I have personal experience I know about, well, not mine, but I know of that experience where there is this guy, before he started abusing this woman physically, you know what he would do? He would bring all kinds of terrible looking equipment, like big monster fish hooks. Some of them would put a gun where you can see it. Some of them will take knives and sharpen it and put objects of intimidation in your sight, your line of sight. And without telling you, these are for you, those things are telling you, try to leave. And those people figure, if I leave, I'm going to get hunted. So why leave? If I stay, I'm going to be hurt, I'm going to be abused.
I'll be alive, yes.
If I leave, I'm going to be dead. And that is one of the most serious of all. Because if you're staying out of fear and you're feeling that you have nobody in your vicinity to help you, not the police officer, not your parents, not your friends, then that is a valid reason to stay. But at the same time, I don't even know the word to use to describe. It's just a very, very sad, sorry reason to stay. Recently, there was a story about a girl in Brooklyn where she got involved with a guy, and then she texted so many people for help, and nobody helped, and he killed her. I don't know I cannot tell you I want to go too much with the story in depth, but that happened. So when you see you're in a relationship and you need help, and even if you ask for it, that help cannot rescue you because that person's power totally engulfs you. You have no choice. Well, it feels like you have no choice but to stay. So I think I'm going to take just a very short commercial break. But when I come back, I want us to talk to the audience about how do you leave? How do you leave this kind of relationship? Or how do you get help? How to avoid those relationships? Because we cannot put all of those things out there without giving you some solutions. So guys, we're going to take a very short commercial break. If you have anything else to say to us, put it in the chat. We want to address it. But we're looking at our time. We'll take a break and we'll come right back to talking about how is it? How can you get away from those relationships that do those kind of things to you and that keep
Get pain relief fast with Frances Rub. When the days get tough, rub it. Having back pains, rub it. The dog not well, rub it. COVID on you, rub it. If you have 4AD, rub it. For proper circulation, rub it. Stroke have you on a side, rub it. For all problems in life, rub it with Frances Rub. Or call 713-4162 or 489-3421. Nothing beats a good old Frances Rub. Located in the Vendors Arcade, booth 27B.
And now in VA4 on Girodi Street next to the post office.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I see both V and Ruby gave us a more detailed explanation of what the Stockholm Syndrome is, where the victim develops some kind of emotional attachment to the abuser. I think one of us said it earlier that, I love you, you beat me, but I love you, and I know you love me. So how do we get out of those kinds of abusive relationships? Or how do we, let's talk about the prevention first. What are some of the red flags we can notice when we get into those relationships? We see the way somebody's acting, we know right away, don't go there because that's not going to turn out well for me. Let's talk about avoiding it first. How do we avoid it?
A little bit difficult for, I think, any one of us who have not maybe been in these relationships. I think this conversation may require a few guests, to come on, to tell us about these signs that they saw. And how they got out.
You start talking to a guy, and he goes, you say, you ask him, he asks you for something, and then you say no. And all of a sudden he goes to you for 7 days. And you say, but why didn't you call me back? Oh, well, I asked you, and you said no, so I stayed in my lane.
Right.
That's already a red flag.
It could be, but some people are just playing hard. That's what I'm saying. It could be, because some abusers are the nicest. They show you no signs in the beginning, Something women will tell you, I genuinely saw no signs.
Well, that is true. And if you don't see any signs, then when the abuse starts, then you think about, how do I leave? But before it starts, there are certain red flags. You start telling somebody no. You start shaming somebody. You start saying, you know what? You lucky, I'm a good person because no other man would want you. I'm the one who wants you. And again, I'm right away falling on man. That doesn't mean it's only man doing it. Women do it too. Women do it too. Okay.
But with what Tamara said, some of them are the nicest people. But even when you meet somebody who has been abused by somebody that's really, really nice, there's always that one thing they'll tell you. He was nicey, but there is
you have been abusing. Okay, let me take it back.
You always get that little but.
I was about to say, if you have abused somebody, you're not nice. But that's not true. Because to be honest with you, I have been guilty of abusing somebody. And I always like to be transparent with my audience because they create trust. And if you judge me, that's on you because I've forgiven myself. But again, as I said earlier in the conversation, we said sometimes we learn how to deal with people based on our environment, based on what we saw. As a child growing up, I saw a lot of the men in the village where I grew up beating their woman. And if they didn't beat their woman, then that means they were not married. And I grew up saying, I'm never going to be in a relationship where a man is going to beat me. And then I decided I was going to do a precautionary measure where if there was going to be an abuse in the relationship, I was going to be the one to inflict it. I was not receiving. So I prepped myself and I'm like, the minute you say anything to me that I don't like, you get a slap. Because I wanted to assert my authority. And then I went out and I would just slap the men and I would hit them and I would threaten them. And then my sister, Leona, had to say, Yolanda, you need to stop. It doesn't feel good for a man to abuse me. And she's open about it. She's like, I am and I'm not going to say victim, because once you survive that abuse, you are survivor. She said, I'm a survivor of domestic abuse, but I know what it feels like to have somebody beat you or to use power or authority or strength or leverage, whatever it is, to have the upper hand. Please don't do that. And I had to reconceptualize myself, tell myself who I am, reteach myself that this was not a strategy and this was not healthy. And I'm a good person. But if you are a good person and you realize you are abusing somebody, if you cannot self-talk yourself away from it, then get help. Because nobody, for whatever reason, deserves being abused. That's what I'm going to see. And I'm going to drop the mic here, so you guys feel free to take it from me. Feel free to take it from me, you know? Because you just have to know your worth.
Yeah,
if you don't know your worth, you're going to stay in this situation.
You will stay, you have
Yeah. And sometimes, you know your worth, but sometimes, people are genuinely stuck in situations. Sometimes they may take the abuse and say, you know what, it's just a temporary. As soon as I get this, because sometimes they promise you things, they promise you status, they promise you money, green cards, they promise you so many things.
Stop. I agree.
Stop.
So you're contradicting yourself. Know your worth. If you know your worth, and this person say, I'm gonna give you a green card, or I'm gonna give you a house, and you just like that, I just have to wait for 2 more months, just have to wait for 2 more years, then that means you don't know your worth. You think your worth is measured by what he's gonna give you. You have to determine, is my life or is the life of my children, is the life of the people around me more valuable than a house? You have to get your priorities right. You need to figure out who are the people around me that can support me. Look for a support system. Your sisters, your parents, your husband, your
what if you don't have? Because you have some women who just don't have.
And that is true. So that is when you need to go to look up community services, go to the police station, go to a health center, read books, run away if you have to, pack your bag, leave the country. Oh, and you know what?
Yeah, but leave when it's safe.
When it's safe.
You need to leave when it's safe. Because the worst time you can try leaving is when that man angry or that woman angry. Because you're not waiting on the door. So you have to pick your time before you fly. Make sure you have your little pocket change. If it's $5 there, your passport. You're supposed to start hiding these things. Put it, and when you leave.
And some of them hide your passport, and the bank book and everything else. So
you have, I think one of the things that can be very, very helpful is if you journal. We don't practice the habit of journaling. If you write down your experiences, because sometimes you may be planning to make that move, and that abuser could have killed you before you even make that move. But if you're writing stuff, and not just writing in a book where they can find it, put it somewhere in the cloud where somebody can find it. Share it with a close friend. So if something happened to you, the culprit can be caught. Keep your evidence. Take pictures of bruises if you have. Make videos or audios of them abusing you verbally. Gather your proof. Arm yourself so that when you're ready, if you get ready, you can leave. But I think it is just so important to really do 3 things. Get the early morning signs, gather yourself a support system, document your experiences, and then just
run.
Really believe that
Yes.
if you believe that you have the power to exit a situation that does not serve you, then all of your actions are going to it will change, because you will force it to change. I think your belief in self, your faith in self, your resolve is such a big part of helping you to get out of those situations, even if it may take some time.
And you also need to be ready to leave, huh? Don't, because the leaving and coming back makes it worse. You have to be ready that when you leave, you ain't turning back. You're not looking back. You're going forward.
Yeah,
no matter how difficult the path in front of you seems, you're going forward and you have a plan. You're going forward and you're moving through with that plan.
And of course, we may have women on this platform listening who are survivors or, who are in relationships like this. And again, this is a no judgment zone. And we're not saying that it's easy and that, you can have a plan and leave, because there are times you may have tried to leave and then you're in a struggle and this man comes and apologizes and changes for a few months and makes everything looks good and you happy for a while and it starts again. And I think it's a process. And as you say, it's about knowing your worth, planning it out properly, speaking to someone, reaching out. But for me, most importantly, is identifying, knowing what abuse is. Because a lot of the women that tolerate it, they just don't think it's abuse. They don't think it's abuse.
So I am very well aware of the time, and I'm like, there is no way we can finish talking about. There is absolutely no way we can, talk about breaking the cycle and giving our audience like productive, strategic things to do to break that cycle. That is not a solution we want to rush. We want to make sure if we're going to hush something out, we're going to put it out. We're going to equip you with strategies to solve it. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to leave the breaking the cycle part for next week, Wednesday. We're going to come in and we're going to talk about solutions. What can you do? What can you do? And maybe we can even think about if we can get somebody who has actually escaped a very, very abusive relationship and share her solutions with us. And we can use that to help, equip our audience. But I think before I want you audience to do something with me. But before I do it, can somebody just read out of I think we have so many comments in the chat from various people.
Yeah.
Can we just read this?
We have wanting constant access to you, especially in the beginning, jealousy, showering you with gifts, especially in the beginning, gaslighting. Bella Lusa said, and when you leave, do not go back, have a plan. V said, don't forget the honeymoon stage. V said, it's not easy to leave a domestic violence relationship. First thing is safety. Bella said, very interesting discourse today. And so a part 2 is needed, yes. Mathaline Serie says, so a part 2 is needed.
Oh, I saw more excuses. I'm sorry, excuses. I
that's up to what I saw.
He said, yes, making excuses for them. Shana said, I know a policewoman who used their power to abuse their partners. Merlin said, in doing such is because I care or love you. Merlin Shari said, some people feel when you get abused is because of love. He just loves you. That's why you're getting a beating. Electra says, I've never been involved in domestic violence. However, my opinion is trusting God, self-love, independence, and confidence should make you leave. V said, wanting constant access to you, especially in the beginning, jealousy, showering you with gifts, especially in the beginning, gaslighting. So these are some of the other things I saw on my end. Audience, before you leave, I want you to, you know what? I'm not going to do that either. I will leave it for next week. I had an exercise for you, but I think it would be more appropriate to be left for next week. I really just want to thank you for being part of this audience tonight, because I'm telling you, domestic violence is something that is so rampant. I have seen so many people suffer from domestic violence. And the thing is, in this day and age, with all the knowledge that is supposedly out there, people are still dying, people are still suffering, and not much is being done about it. Most times, it's after somebody has died. That is when the domestic violence is being spoken about. And then by then, it's too late. So we need to do something to continue to fight against this domestic violence thing. So when we come back next week, we are going to come back with talking about getting help and breaking the cycle. Any last words for our audience, Vilna Auntie?
No. I just went blank.
None? Okay, well. Well, for me, I'll give you time to think. For me, I just want to, as I started, reach out to anyone listening on this platform who is a survivor or a victim or whatever you call yourself, or you think you are being abused, to reach out to someone. You can send us a DM, reach Yolanda, reach Vilna, reach myself, somebody, speak to somebody, just reach out. We are here for you. We're not just speaking about this so that, just another conversation. I think we have an audience and there may be persons affected by this. So if you think for a second, for any doubt in your mind that you are in a situation, reach out to one of us. Let us help you.
Thank you. And we are also going to share a document with resources in our next show, links that you can click on, numbers you can call if you are in these kind of situations and you need help. So, thank you so much for listening to our topic tonight. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for caring. Thank you for coming. And we will continue our conversation next week.
Yes.
With that said, have a good night. This is Hush Talk, where...
This is Hush Talk, where silence ends and healing begins.
Yes. Let us heal. Good night, Hush Talkers.
Good night.
Good night.
Get pain relief fast with Frances Rub. When the days get tough, rub it. Having back pains, rub it. The dog not well, rub it. COVID on you, rub it. If you have 4AD, rub it. For proper circulation, rub it. Stroke have you on a side, rub it. For all problems in life, rub it with Frances Rub. Or call 713-4162 or 489-3421. Nothing beats a good old Frances Rub. Located in the Vendors Arcade, booth 27B.
And now in VA4 on Girodi Street next to the post office.